Hello everyone, welcome to the new session of plant propagation in horticulture plants part 2. So in this session we are going to study about the third type of propagation in horticulture, that is root cutting. In the first session we have studied about the stem cutting as well as the leaf cutting. Now we are going to cover up root cutting, different types of root cutting that is adapted in the propagation of plants in horticulture. So, root cutting. This method is applicable in plants which produce suckers freely, right? So here we are producing suckers in the root. Root pieces are taken from the young stalk plant in late winter or early spring when roots are well supplied with stored food, but before the new growth start, right? So in this season, like late winter and early springs, so whatever the reserve food material that is supplied to the root, because root is also one of the perinating organ of the plant, right? So this root pieces are taken from the young stalk of the plant in the late winter or early spring, and that is well supplied with stored food material. So they are having lots of food material stored in it, and that can be used for the vegetative propagation. So, however, in the temperate fruits, root cuttings are prepared in month of December and are kept in the warm places in the moss grass for callousing, and then planted in the February and March. So in the moss grasses, right? So for that we used to make callus in the tissue culture technique and then planted, and that is done in the month of February and March. But the one that is used for root cutting, right? So that is done in the month of December. The cutting process is done in month of December, but the one that is used for growing the callus in the tissue culture technique like moss and grass, that is done in the month of February and March. Root cutting is to be prepared by cutting off roots in 1 centimeter thickness. So the thickness of the root must be 1 centimeter, right? And 10 to 15 centimeter long. The root must be 10 to 15 centimeter long. These cutting are inserted vertically so that the top is above the soil level, or horizontally 2 to 5 centimeter deep, avoiding the possibility of planting them upside down. So we can put this root cutting in the two way, either vertical form or horizontal form. When it is inserted vertical, so the top is above the soil, the top part is above the soil, and when we are putting it horizontally, so be sure that it is placed 2 to 5 centimeter deep in the soil. Sweet potato, cherry, kiwi fruit, raspberry, blackberry, breadfruit, curry leaf, etc. can be propagated by this method. So for these different plants, root cutting technique has been used for the plant propagation. Okay, so let us study about the procedure, how to make this root cutting possible, right? So the precautions to be taken while the propagating plants by cutting: do not use shoots growing in the shaded interior for the propagation of cutting. So in the shaded region, the plant that is grown in the shaded region, that should not be used for the root cutting. Do not retain too many leaves at the time of planting. So at the time of planting, it must not have much leaves. Avoid fast growing shoot. Okay, so we must avoid the plant that is having fast growing shoot. Mature and lignified shoot should be used for propagation of cuttings in case of hardwood cutting. Cutting should be maintained under the high moisture condition and misting to be done regularly to reduce the moisture loss. So you must maintain the moisture in the soil so that the cutting which we have used, it should not be dry up. So whatever the moisture that is available in the soil, that is now available to this cutting part also. The propagating material must be sterilized before use because it is put into the ground, right? That cutting is put into the ground, so the tissue is exposed to lot of microbes. So it must get sterilized. Rooting hormones may be mixed with the fungicides to protect the cut surface from the rotting under the humid condition. So we can use some of the fungicide because many fungus, many bacteria, microbes are present in the soil. So that can damage because the cut surface is exposed. The cut surface of the root is exposed and these fungus can invade the tissue, right? So we can use some fungicide and also root promoting hormones that can also be supplied at that particular time. Layering is the process of development of roots on stem while it is still attached to the parent plants. So the first type of root cutting, that is layering. So how the layering is done, we all know that suppose a plant is there, this plant is growing, right? And it is having branching. So sometime the branch grows and it droop down like this, right? And it touches to the ground. And when it is not touches in the ground, then also with the help of a clip, we can attach this particular part so that the surface of the soil get touches to this branch. Okay, and we can see, so leaves are there like this, right? And we can see some roots are growing here after some day. Then we can cut this plant from here and we can take out this whole plant and we can place to some other place, right? So the layering is the process of development of roots on a stem while it is still attached to the parent plant. So here we can see in this particular branch that this particular branch is still attached to the parent plant and the root is growing from the stem which is touching to the ground, right? So the rooted stem is then detached to become a new plant growing on its own roots. Such rooted stem is known as layer. So this particular stem part which is having a new roots, that is called as layer, and this process is called as layering. So one of the very good example of this is jasmine plant. Bougainvillea is also there. So the success of layering depends on the ringing or wounding, etiolation, absence of light, use of rooting hormone, that is indole butyric acid and naphthalene acetic acid. These are the synthetic hormone that promote the roots in the plant. And favorable environmental condition. What are the favorable environmental condition? Suitable temperature and humidity. So layering includes the several forms of ground and aerial layering, that is the GOTI. Okay, this is aerial layer. So aerial layering is also done and that is also known as GOTI, that is done in the case of rubber plant. So we will see. Okay, so this is how the propagation of the layering is done. The best results from the layering are obtained during the monsoon and spring season from the branches of 1 to 2 year age. So best time to do the layering is monsoon and springtime. At this particular time, lots of moisture is present in the soil that promote the growth of the roots. So we are having different types of layering, right? Different types of layering in the process of root cutting. The one process of root cutting is the layering. So the different types of layering are described below. The first one is simple or tongue layering. Second is compound or serpentine layering. These two are the two different types. Next are mound or stool layering. This is the third type. And the fourth one is air layering or the aerial layering, that is also called as GOTI. So we are having 4 different types of layering. So simple or tongue layering, we will describe one by one how this layering is done. Okay, so it is easy and effective method of plant propagation. So this is one of the simplest type of layering, and that is called as tongue layering. So in this method, a propagating partial cut is made on a branch and it is bent to the ground, and treated portion of it is covered by the soil, leaving the terminal end of the branch exposed. So in that case also we have discussed, this is called as the tongue layering, because this is simply a tongue like, and this tongue or this particular part is attached to the soil, so it gives rise. So this is the parent plant, it is still attached to the soil, right, and it gives rise to the new roots, the stem part that is attached to the soil surface, right. So this is tongue layering. Root initiation take place at the bud or the buried portion. Sometime it is buried, sometime it is touched. At the point of touch to the soil also they give rise to this new roots, but sometime it is buried also. Bougainvillea, azalea, climbing roses, rhododendron, guava, lychee, lime, lemon, filbert, etc. are propagated by this method. So we are studying about the horticulture. So basically these are the some of the plant that is grown in the horticulture. So all these plants are grown with the help of tongue layering. Okay, what is procedure for this particular type of tongue layering? Select a healthy and a flexible branch towards the base of the plant from a healthy plant of desired kind. This branch should be nearer to the ground and sufficient long 50 to 70 centimeter. So at a distance of about 15 to 30 centimeter from the tip, give a sharp slanting inward cut and insert a wood piece. So at the 15 to 30 centimeter, we will put a wood piece by giving a slant cut and bend these trimmed branches to the ground so that the cut part can be inserted into the soil. So this cut part is put it into the soil and covered the rooting region, that is 5 to 7.5 centimeter with soil, leaving about 15 to 30 centimeter tip exposed to the soil. So like this, if it is, this is a branch and there is a slant cut is here, so and it is covered with the soil. Now in this region a new roots comes out. Okay, and here this is the tip that is present above the ground. So when the root is there, then we can cut this plant and we can take out this plant and put it to the new place. Keep a stone on the part covered with the soil to keep the layer in place. So with the help of a stone, a heavy stone, that particular stem part that will be remain at its place, and drive a vertical strike into the soil by the side of the layered branch. The branch to be staked properly and gunny thread. So we can covered with the gunny thread. The soil around this buried stem is kept moist 70 to 80% field capacity. So it must be always having water in that particular part of the soil. So we must take in care that that particular part of the soil is properly moistened. In favorable rooting condition, the layer will root within 30 to 45 days depending upon the spice species. Remove the rooted cane and plant in the cool shady place. So once the root emerges out from that cut part of the plant, then you can take out that rooted plant and place it to the desired place. Second type of layering is the compound or serpentine layering. So the compound layering is essentially the same as simple layering, except that the branch is alternatively covered and exposed along its length, in which the several layers are result in the single stem. So suppose this is a single stem like this, Okay, so we can put soil here, we can put soil here by putting a cut, right? And these are the stem part that is present above, like this. So once the root emerges out here, this is the plant, right? So we can cut from here and we can have one particular plant here, and we can cut here and we can have one particular plant here, right? So that is why it is called as compound or serpentine layering. So the number of plants we can generate in one layering process only. So the grape, bougainvillea, jasmine, clematis, pothos, wisteria, philodendron, etc. are propagated by this particular method. So what is the procedure? Now select 1 year old healthy, flexible and long branch, 100 to 250 centimeter. This is very, very important. The plant must be long branch, 100 to 250 centimeter, because we are going for the compound or serpentine layering, right? So give a sharp slant inverted cut of about 2.5 centimeter passing through the node at 30 centimeter, 60 centimeter, 90 centimeter and 150 centimeter. So at 4 region we are putting this slanting cut of 2.5 centimeter. Right, and from the tip of this, ringing or girdling is made on the shoot, which is to be covered inside the soil. Insert small stick in the tongue. So again, the small stick of or a wood that is put into the tongue, and bend the shoot cane gently to the ground and insert the cut portion of the stem alternatively into the soil and covered this rooting region with the soil. So for this purpose, each buried and exposed section should contain at least one bud exposed and one bud covered. So the bud should be covered and bud should be out of this covering region. So keep a stone on the covered soil if it is necessary to keep the branch in place, so that it should not be like it come out. So we put some heavy stone so that it will be that buried part is there only. Leave 20 to 25 centimeter tip above the ground. Water the layered buried portion regularly till the rooted layer is separated. So once the rooting is there, detach the new plant after 45 to 60 days. Layered branches cut into the section after rooting takes place, and after separating each rooted portion, plant them in nursery. So we can have number of plants in that ways. So the third type, that is the mound or stool layering. In this method, the plant is headed back to 15 to 20 centimeter above the ground level during the dormant season. So the plant is headed back to 15 to 20 centimeter above the ground, and this is done in the dormant season. This pruning causes the new shoots to grow within the 2 months in spring. So when the spring is there, the prune part that grows a new shoots. At this onset of a new growth, soil is heaved around the base of the newly developed shoots. So once the newly developed shoots are there, so we can have a heap of soil at the base of the developing shoots. So the mound layering is commercially used for the propagation of apple, rootstocks, guava, currants, gooseberries, quince, etc. However, this method is also advocated for the propagation of plum, cherry, pecanut and hazelnut, lychee and jackfruit. So basically this is done for so many commercially important fruit crops. Now procedure: select the desired plant kind to be mound layered. So we will take out some plant which can be suited for this mound layering, and behead the plant to 15 to 20 centimeter above the soil surface during the dormant season. So the dormant season, we can behead, we can cut the stem, and we can place a heap of soil to that region. Allow the beheaded plants to develop a new shoots. Once the new shoot is there, so the dormant buds will produce new shoots within the 2 months. So within 2 months, a new shoots will arise from the beheaded plants. So these new shoots are girdles near the base, and the rooting hormone IBA, indole butyric acid, and prepared lanolin paste is applied to the upper portion of the cut. So where the stem has been cut, we will apply this lanolin paste that promotes the branching. So these shoots are left for the 2 days for the proper absorption of rooting hormone before they are covered mound with the soil. When these shoots have grown 7 to 15 centimeter long, draw up the loose soil around each shoot to half of its height. When shoots have grown to 20 to 25 centimeter, add soil again to half the height of the shoot, right? So we will cover this part with the soil, shoot part with the soil. Add soil again when the shoots have grown to a height of 30 to 45 centimeter. Once it is reaches to the height of 35 to 45 centimeter, again cover it with the soil. Water the heaped soil regularly and allow the sufficient time for the development of roots. Roots will form at the base of young shoot within 20 to 30 days. So now the new plant you can take out, right? So after 2 months, the rooted stools are separated from the mother plant by cutting them close to their base and plant them nursery. So you can, like a number of plant that is there, so you can cut because it is having roots there. So you can cut this particular part and you can have 4 different plant out of here. So in this way, this mound or stool layering is done. Fourth is, that is layering or goti. It is also known as marcotage or the Chinese layering. In this, roots develop on an aerial shoot where the stem has been girdled. So suppose this is the stem part, right? And we can take out this much part of the stem. This shaded part of the stem is taken out like this. So that is called as girdled. So this is girdled stem part. For getting root initiation, the ringing portion is covered with the rooting medium. So we can cover this particular part with the rooting medium, the medium that promote rooting medium. The best rooting medium for the air layering is the sphagnum moss. This is also called as peat moss. Sphagnum moss, as it holds large amount of water till root initiation and their development. So it can hold a lot of water and that helps to this development of the new roots. The crop plants such as guava, fig, lychee, kagzi lime, jackfruit, cashew nut, cotton, rubber plant. This is very, very important. Azalea, Dieffenbachia, magnolia, oleander, camellia, etc. are being propagated by this method. Now the procedure: select healthy branch of 1 year of age on partially hardened shoot of the previous season and about lead pencil thickness, that is 1 to 1.2 centimeter thick and 30 to 40 centimeter long from the desired plant. So this is the type of stem that we have to select on the rooted plant or the mother plant. Wound our branch by girdling just below the node, that is around 25 to 35 centimeter away from the growing tip. So at the lower portion of the node, this girdling is done at 25 to 35 centimeter away from the growing tip. Remove the strip of bark completely from the girdled area, about 2 to 4 centimeter wide ring. So we can have a wide ring of 2 to 4 centimeter around the stem. That particular part is removed. Scrape the exposed surface gently and remove any trace of phloem or cambium. So this phloem or cambium is the meristematic tissue that give rise to, not phloem, actually it is a cambium that give rise to new root because it is having a greater capacity of division, right? So the required concentration of growth hormone in the lanolin paste or the rootie or the rootex is applied to the upper part of the wound. Place 2 handful of moist, not wet lanolin paste of magnum moss grass around the wounded barkless area. So the barkless area is covered with this sphagnum moss, and below this, under this sphagnum moss, we are providing some growth hormone and also the lanolin paste, which promote the growth of the root. So the moss grass can be substituted with a mixture of soil, sand, and leaf mold of ratio 2:1:2. So this is the mixture that is present in the covering of the wound. Wrap the median carefully with the strip of a clear polythene film 200 to 300 gauge, 220 to 25 centimeter square, so as to moisture holding material is completely covered. So this particular medium, it is covered with the polythene film because no infection is there, and this is covered with the 20 to 25 centimeters core so as the moisture holding material is completely covered. So there is no evaporation or the loss of water. Gunny bag pieces that is 20 to 25 centimeter can be substitute for this polythene film and wrapping the material. In case wrapping material is gunny bag, frequent watering is essential, but in the case of polythene film, no further watering is needed as the polythene film permits the exchange of gases, that is CO2 and O2, at a low transmission of water. So we have having two options, either to cover it with the gunny bag. So for that you can provide water every time, but when you cover with the polythene film, so there is no need of watering because this polythene film do not allow the loss of water, right? But it can helps to exchange of gases. Tie both the ends tightly and rooting commences within 20 to 35 days from the upper cut portion. So after 25 to 30 days this rooting is done. After observing fully developed roots through the transparent polythene wrapper, separate the layered shoot after 45 to 60 days from the parent plant by the gradual cut. So you can have a cut and see that whether the root is coming out or not. So you can later cut that stem, right? Cut that stem and place it in a nursery. Okay. So in this way, we can have a new plant in our nursery. So this is all about the layering process, that is a type of root cutting. Okay, till then, thank you very much.